Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 11th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Let's see here. Work was work. But let's talk about Sunday. Sunday was pretty interesting. It was a really good food day. Dare I say, great food day for your boy. Also, too, I feel like I didn't talk about it because I didn't even realize it until midday that daylight savings was a thing. Like I had been reminded at work. They had left a little memo on the clock out thing, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, awesome, that's great. And of course, I love that because you're gonna get the hour forward. We're springing ahead. We love that, but it just felt like I was jet lagged all Sunday. Like I slept so much when I actually count the hours, but it wasn't like great sleep. That being said, had a really good Sunday evening. I went out with a friend to Top Pot, and longtime listeners may remember a food corner that I talked about my first time going there. And how overwhelmed I was. I had no idea what I was getting into, and sooner than I realized, I was so full, and I just I felt so upset. I was like, man, there's so much to eat here and try here, and I know it's it's not cheap, so oh man, I can't wait to come back here. So fast forward to now, we're there, and I've prepped better. I'm more mentally prepared. I will say, I needed a little bit of a rundown. I realized how much I was leaning on my friend to be like, oh yeah, this is how the whole order of operations work. Like, hey, don't cook this on the main pot. Cook this in your hot pot with the noodle, or not the noodles, with the broth. And I was just like, oh yeah, oops, my bad. But overall, our waitress was really cool and really helpful. Got a lot of meat, and that was a strat. Essentially, the best strat in my opinion is focus on the protein. Last time I got so in the weeds on side stuff, this and that, ooh, what's on that little sidebar? Ooh, that's a cute little pancakey thing. And no, don't do that. Just focus on the meats. I had so much meat. I had brisket, I had short ribs, I had a ribeye steak. So we ate real good. My friend, they got some seafood options that they let me try, like a spicy salmon, which is really good. And I think some other things. I also got lobster balls that I put into my hot pot. The hot pot was braised oxtail and tomato, and I put some jalapenos in there to spice it up. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I was in heaven. And also, it was crazy. Is I ate in such a way that I left almost like I could have ate more, and I had almost FOMO in that way. So that was a neat twist, to maybe go back to. And there's other Korean barbecue places around here that I need to try. So maybe I'll come and report back to you later about those. But yeah, I was very satisfied. Oh, and then also I had a weird nightcap since I was still a little hungry later on that night, and had some eggs. So I had an egg and jelly toasted sandwich, which is kind of a nostalgic thing. I kind of realized as I was eating it, I was like, oh man, I haven't had these since my dad used to make them for me when I didn't want oatmeal. Back when I was a kid going to grade school. So it was a very nice and wholesome day. Yeah, you love to see it, you love to hear it, I hope. But yeah, so enough about me. I've yapped enough about my personal life and times. Let me go ahead and get into some news, but before we do that, I'm going to take my classic startup. Hopefully, take one with me, and then we'll get into some news. Do-do-do-do-do. Ooh, okay. Now, I got a bit of a flight bundle for us for a good chunk of the episode. Um, so fasten your seatbelts. From CNN, 5 people, including a juvenile, killed in Virginia plane crash, officials say. A small plane crashed into a wooded area near Virginia's western border on Sunday, bursting into flames and killing all 5 people on board, including a juvenile, authorities said. The twin-engine IAI Astra 1125 crashed near Ingalls Field Airport in Hot Springs, Virginia, around 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the Federal Aviation Administration told CNN. The flight originated in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, the Virginia State Police said in a Monday update. According to the plane's owner's attorney and family friend, the occupants were attending an event at the Homestead Resort in Hot Springs, the state police said. Hot Springs sits near Virginia's border with Western Virginia and is approximately 160 miles northwest of Richmond. At this time, it appears that there were 4 adults and 1 juvenile on board the aircraft. All 5, which includes the pilot, died at the scene, said Virginia State Police spokesperson Corinne Geller in a news release obtained by CNN affiliate WSLS Sunday. This was definitely the worst one of the 3 that I wanted to cover today. Obviously very unfortunate. My condolences go out to the family. These things are supposed to be just very point A to point B, and it's just like hopping into a car and, you just don't make your destination. I don't know. I feel like I think about this every once in a blue moon, like, damn, like I could, I'm sure everyone has at least this level of anxiety, right? Where you just think, man, I could just hop into my car. I could just take this trip and it could be my last. And every fucking once in a while, you're goddamn John Denver, and it is. And that's very sad and it's very unfortunate. But like I said, the remaining 2 flight stories are not as bad, but they are not great. I will say that. So let's get to them. From Reuters, at least 50 hurt at LATAM, or LATAM, as I'm going to say it for the rest of this, at LATAM's Boeing 787 to Auckland, just dropped mid-flight. So you'll love to hear that. Excuse me. At least 50 people were hurt when a Boeing 787 operated at LATAM Airlines dropped abruptly mid-flight from Sydney to Auckland on Monday, according to the airline and a New Zealand health service organization that treated the injured. The aircraft experienced a strong shake, and as a result, 10 passengers and 3 cabin crew members were taken to a hospital. The South American carrier said as it investigates the cause. So we're not sure exactly what happened, what caused this, but I imagine that's going to come down the pipe. I believe 1 person was severely injured, and this was a flight of 263 people, 9 cabin crew members. Let's see here. But yeah, like 1 person was seriously injured, and the rest of the 50 suffered mild to moderate injuries. But I mean, it's definitely super scary. I don't know if this is like a turbulent situation gone bad, if there was a problem with the actual plane, some kind of maintenance thing. I don't know. Like I said, probably gonna get more details in the future. But I mean, it's just not a good year to be a Boeing. It's not a good year to be working at Boeing. It's not a good year to be flying a Boeing. I don't know. Sheesh. They got to clean up that act. And at the same time, too, it's kind of like you're just seeing a company that's suffering for like almost sins of the past, I want to say. I mean, granted, I think if I'm not mistaken, the 787s are kind of older planes. We're not talking about like the Max or anything like that. But that being said, I mean, they're supposed to hold better than that. But who knows? Maybe this isn't on Boeing when we get into it. Maybe I'm pointing the finger too soon because I've just heard this name so many times lately. And they just have a nasty track record, which we've covered a little bit. But yeah, there's that one. And now this one is technically the least damaging, no one was harmed here, but it's kind of really scary too. From CBS News, 2 pilots fall asleep mid-flight with more than 150 on board, 36,000 feet in the air. Yikes. So bad time to take a nap. 2 pilots of an Indonesian airline have come under fire after an incident report revealed they both fell asleep during a January flight with more than 150 people on board. The pilots were unreachable for roughly half an hour, waking to find that the plane had veered off course, the report said. The incident occurred on a round-trip Batik Air Indonesia flight between Halu Oleo Airport in Kendari and Soekarno Hatta International Airport in Jakarta on January 25th. During the preparation for the first leg of the flight from Jakarta to Kendari, the second in command pilot, a 28-year-old with roughly 1,600 hours of flying time, told the pilot in command that he did not have proper rest, according to a report by Indonesia's National Transportation Safety Committee. The commanding pilot, a 32-year-old with roughly 6,300 hours of flying time, allowed the secondary to rest during that leg of the trip for about half an hour. So it's like, ooh, I don't know. I personally don't feel good about that. I feel like the average bear would probably be like, yeah, none of you guys should be sleeping, right? Now, I will kind of sprint ahead a little bit. The second in command pilot, he says, hey, the reason I'm so tired is I have a firstborn. We just moved, so there's a lot going on at home, and it's just rough, and I just needed a little bit of sleep. And, so of course I shouldn't say of course, the pilot in command, the primary guy, is like, okay, that's fine. And then on the flight back to Jakarta, which had 153 passengers and 4 flight attendants on board, the commanding pilot asked the secondary, who napped during the first leg, if he could take a turn to rest, which was granted. A little while later, the pilot woke up and asked the other pilot if they wanted to nap, which they declined. About 20 minutes later, the incident report states the second pilot inadvertently fell asleep as they were roughly 36,000 feet in the air. So that's where the oopsie-daisy happens. And, you can see where that's a problem. Imagine you're just chilling on a flight. You don't know, but, they're literally both just fucking having a little siesta. And you're just on a fucking flight to nowhere, potentially oblivion. But, yeah, luckily they woke up, and that's good. But air traffic controllers and other pilots attempted to get contact with the napping pilots to no avail. Then 28 minutes later, after the last recorded transmission, the commanding pilot woke up and was immediately aware the aircraft was not on the correct flight path. Now, I believe, I'm just reading, let's keep reading. The PIC, or the pilot in command, saw the then SIC, second in command, was sleeping and woke him up, the report says. About the same time, the PIC responded to the call from another pilot and Jakarta ACC. The PIC advised the Jakarta ACC that BTK 6723 experienced radio communication problem, and currently the problem has been resolved because the problem was you were asleep. The flight then continued and landed at Jakarta uneventfully. Now, the pilots had been suspended. No one was hurt. There was no damage. But clearly, does that make you wonder? Because it would make me wonder. Once again, I've only been on one flight. I don't think the pilot and/or core pilot, took a little nappy poo, you know what I mean? But, man, that's wild. That's crazy. Motherfuckers are just yeah, we can just take turns napping. That's not what you're supposed to be doing as a co-pilot, just holding it down like that. I mean, hey, if there's any pilot listeners who know, please, email me, isaiahnews1@gmail.com, or, hit me up, find me, let me know. Give me the skinny. I won't give your name, of course. I just want to know. I want answers. You feel me? Is this a common thing? Is this something that's happening on the low that people are just yeah, dog, let me just get a quick little cat nap. You just fly the plane, All right, no problems, no worries. And he's like, I got you, dog. And then because that's scary if that's the case. But hey, like I said, it's always gonna be scary. I think getting on a plane to some extent. Hopefully my news coverage isn't freaking you out too bad, and hopefully if you got a plane ride, I'm sure you're gonna be fine, and you're gonna make it to your destination a-okay. And hopefully you can download some episodes to listen, while you're doing that. But anyway. Let's hop off the planes. Let's get to some politics. I guess a little bit of a rewind because we technically mentioned it, but I didn't really give it the coverage that it probably deserved. And then I noticed that it kind of seeped out. It's a big thing if SNL is trying to fucking make a bit about it. You know what I mean? That's usually a good barometer, right? But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit more. From MSNBC. I guess I should actually name her, you know what I mean? GOP's Katie Britt in damage control mode following post State of the Union mess. For many Republicans, the problem with Senator Katie Britt's response to the State of the Union address was obvious before it was even over. An advisor to Donald Trump, for example, asked during the Alabama senator's remarks, "What the hell am I watching right now?" It was an uncommon question. So many official State of the Union responses have been dreadful that some have raised the possibility of a curse. But Britt's overwrought delivery, wild tonal swings, and kitchen setting were unusually cringeworthy, drawing complaints from GOP officials and their allies. The fact that the Republicans' remarks were parodied on Saturday Night Live helped drive home the obvious point. Britt's response failed, as a New York Times report summarized. With a sunny, inviting smile, Senator Katie Britt of Alabama welcomed Americans into her kitchen on Thursday night. Many soon backed away nervously. It was just weird, and like I said, I felt like it just had a very almost sinister undertone to it. Like it felt like she was about to call up the purge or something. I don't know. I just didn't. I didn't get the vibe. I understood though that it's hey, we're trying to call out how bad Biden is handling immigration, and we're gonna then cue up this really just dark example, which I'm gonna go ahead and get into. So trigger warning, sexual violence. But early on in the Alabama Republicans' remarks, she talked about having traveled to Texas, where she spoke to a woman who'd been raped and sex trafficked by Mexican cartels starting at the age of 12. As my MSNBC colleague Clarissa Jan Lim explained, Britt goes on to detail the woman's horrific experience of daily sexual assault. She concludes by saying, "We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America. And it is past time, in my opinion, that we start acting like it. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace." Britt's phrasing fairly clearly implies that this woman's sexual abuse had taken place in the U.S., but it didn't. The woman Britt referred to was Carla Jacinto Romero, who survived a horrific nightmare that few can even imagine, and who has been a prominent activist. And also, she did not like that not just Britt, but others have kind of used her name, used what's happened to her as a flagstaff, as a symbol for, immigration violence, whatever fucking point or narrative they're trying to make. And she's like, that's not what I want here. You're not doing the thing, then that's not fair. I'm definitely wildly paraphrasing myself here. But I can understand being upset about that, where it's look, dude, you're taking my story and warping it to whatever you want to do, and that's fucked up. You know what I mean? But yeah, just not to mention, I just don't think it landed the way that she wanted to. It doesn't seem like anyone was oh man, Katie Britt, she really cooked. What a young firecracker. What a young up and comer. What a trailblazer girl boss move. I haven't heard anyone say that. Everyone's kind of even Republicans, and you fucked up there. So yeah, I kind of thought this would come and go, and it kind of has, but it's a bit of a, slower news day-ish. So I figured, hey, I'll get it on this. Go ahead and talk about it. So from Katie in Alabama, we got to talk royalty and, the UK. But let me go ahead and take my last break, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. A little bit of, royal intrigue, if you will, and some bad photo editing. Oh boy. Oh. Oh. Sorry, I double dipped. Okay. Part one of the story is from USA Today. Princess Kate apologizes for editing photo of family pulled by image agencies. Princess Kate has apologized after a photo shared of her with her 3 children was removed from use by several major agencies. in a Monday morning post from the Prince and Princess of Wales account on X, formerly known as Twitter, the princess apologized and said the confusion over the photo was due to her editing. So she's essentially falling on the sword, if you will. Like many amateur photographers, I do occasionally experiment with editing, the post reads. I wanted to express my apologies for any confusion the family photograph we shared yesterday caused. I hope everyone celebrating had a very happy Mother's Day. Now, I believe that this is like a traditional thing for her to share a Mother's Day photo. And she recently, it was around the same time as King Charles had his prostate surgery situation, came out with cancer that they say, hey, it's not prostate cancer, but it's not a cancer we're going to tell you. Actually, let me go ahead and reel a bit further, and we'll get to the point I'm trying to make. The Associated Press, AFP, and Reuters issued kill notifications shortly after the family photo showing Kate seated on a chair, surrounded by her children, Prince George, 10, Princess Charlotte, 8, and Prince Louis, 5, was published due to manipulation. So, like I said, she's supposed to have this, annual photo. She recently had the surgery. Yes, it was abdominal surgery. It was planned January 16th, but she hasn't been seen really since. I believe there was a Christmas outing, and that was the last time they heard from her. That was in December. So everyone's kind of weird that it's cool that King Charles came out and said he has some mystery cancer and he's dealing with that. That's very brave, and he's so open, I guess. But where's Kate? Where's the Princess of Wales? What's her deal? And she just hasn't been seen. Which is gonna get me to the next phase, our part 2, because apparently, at least according to page 6, Kate Middleton has been seen, and not just the initial outing that post this documented thing, which I should say too, I kind of haven't gotten into it. The editing, if you just look at this photo at a glance, it looks fine. But when you get into it, it's something is weird here, right? And they go through it, and you can kind of see around the waist and the hands, they're weird. They're a bit off. And in a big kind of scandalous kind of tabloid making thing is that the hand of Kate Middleton doesn't have the ring on it. Doesn't have the I guess the wedding ring, whatever, So that was big news in and of itself. And then people keep digging and looking in, enhancing the image. And they're just seeing this hand is kind of ghostly connected to the body. That's a little weird. What's going on here? Which leads Kate Middleton to say, hey, I fudged it up. I did a little amateur editing, and this is what happened. So now, of course, this conspiracy is building and building and building. I kind of heard a little bit about this shit, but if I could just be honest with you, this is a UK nothing burger to me up until today. But once I saw some of my friends actually talking about it on Facebook, I was like, oh shit, okay, maybe I should yap about it myself. So now we're here, killing time. But yeah, from page 6, Kate Middleton spotted leaving Windsor Castle with Prince William after post-surgery Photoshop fail. Now, I could definitely see, even after seeing these photos, which you can kind of see it's them through, I wouldn't say it's tinted or anything, but it's kind of hard to see. You see Prince William and you see Kate Middleton, and she's looking away. But you can definitely see that it's her. There's a couple of photos of that, or a few. But that being said, I'm sure that these people are saying we actually haven't seen her. She's going to a private event. So I'm not even sure. I thought she was scheduled to be going somewhere soon or something, but I didn't honestly research it hard enough. Also, it's also noted that, I think Prince, the Prince of Wales or whatever, the old Baldy, he hasn't really been as present as, he's kind of supposed to be for some of his royal things. So it's adding to that speculation of maybe, things are really either there's trouble at home or something's wrong with Kate. And honestly, I'm waiting for it. I'm sure it's already happening of oh, Kate's dead. Actually, no, I've already seen she's dead, bro. She's totally dead, bro. And I can't wait till she actually does make a actual sighting and go, oh, that's a clone. That's a total clone, bro. Like, she's not real. I mean, if they did it to Avril Lavigne, they could totally do it to goddamn Kate Middleton. My thoughts and speculation is she did have some kind of abdominal surgery, and maybe she's just been on the mend longer than expected. Maybe she's just really not up to snuff. That's why you have an overly edited photo. Who can say? Who knows? Let them have their palace intrigue. As far as I'm concerned, zoos are more interesting to me than the royal family. But, hey, here we are. But yeah, that's it. That's all I really have for today. That's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Let's see here. I mentioned the email isaiahnews1@gmail.com. And then find me on all the socials, either me or the podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Really helps out a lot. Hit that like button. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. It can be fun. But I mean, truly, what is divine to me is that you've listened to this episode. You've made it all the way here. I mean, who knows? Maybe you've done that a lot. Maybe you do that all the time. That's crazy. Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot just to have your ear for the time that I have it. So yeah, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.